I go down, straight back up. And when you put your hands in the right location also, it'll take some of the stress off your shoulder joint. Hey guys, Mark McKillier with Live Anabolic. And today I want to talk about push-ups and the 3 biggest mistakes that you guys are making out there when you're doing your push-ups. Now, push-ups are a fantastic exercise for home, especially for you guys that don't have a lot of equipment. You go to the gym, working on your chest is fantastic. Tons of different machines, tons of different exercises. It's a lot of equipment, it's real expensive equipment, and it's fantastic for building a big chest, but when we're at home, we've got very limited options. And one of the best all-around exercises for building a big chest are push-ups. But there's right ways to do them and wrong ways to do them. And sometimes the wrong way can actually cause some minor injuries, but if you're doing it the right way and you do enough of them and you stick with it over time, you can really build a big, strong chest. So I got 3 things that I want you guys to think about. These are mistakes that I see on a regular basis, all right? I'm gonna get on the floor in just a minute and kind of go through those 3 mistakes. But before I do, just want to quickly mention once again, we have a fantastic resource for you guys. It's our Facebook group, all right? It's free. Don't neglect free stuff, guys. I promise. You will absolutely love it. Even if you hate Facebook. I don't like Facebook. Doesn't matter. Log on, create an account. You don't have to use your real name. You don't have to use any pictures of yourself. Nobody will know. Okay, you won't get a bunch of spam email, I promise. But you'll be a member of our group, and we got over 13,000 men all over the world that are participating in this group. I'm on there every day. I'm the administrator. I'm answering questions. Plus, everybody else is chipping in and helping answer each other's questions and motivate one another. And that's one of the best things about this group is the motivation. It's not just the Q&A. It's the holding you accountable, all right? So guys, fantastic. Click the link below this video and I promise you will thank me for joining this group. All right, so let's get into the 3 mistakes I see. So I'm gonna be down on the ground for the rest of this video. The first mistake is range of motion. We're not having enough range of motion. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of my other videos, and range of motion is always an important part of getting the most possible benefit out of any exercise. I don't care whether you're doing curls or squats or back rows, doesn't matter. Push-ups is the same thing. So if you're not getting a real nice full range of motion, you're not going to get nearly as much out of the exercise. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to not getting full range of motion is this. Their butt sags. And when they go down, this is as far as they can go because now my waist is hitting the ground, all right? So they go to here, up, and that is just not full range of motion. So guys, full range of motion, I'll give you 2 different alternatives. Some people say your chest has to go all the way to the ground. All right, I'm 59 years old. A lot of you guys are not gonna have that much mobility, all right? Even in the military, when they're counting their push-ups for their physical fitness test, they don't have to touch their chest to the ground. Now the Army's changed things up a little bit, but in the Marines, they put their fist here, all right? The guy who's counting, and the other guy that's doing the push-ups, his chest has to go down till it hits his fist. And you know, your fist, that's about 4 or 5 inches off the ground. So your chest does not have to hit the ground for a full range of motion, but you can't let your butt sag. You want to try to keep your torso, your legs in a nice straight line, basically a plank position here. And I'm going to go down and then back up. So my chest is not touching the ground here. Now I could go down and touch the ground, okay? I have enough flexibility in my elbows and my shoulders, but if you can just go to about there and then back up, that's a full range of motion, which means you're engaging more muscle fibers in your chest. And so it's all about our chest, guys. That's why we're doing push-ups in the first place. I've shot other videos where there's lots of different types of push-ups, okay? And depending on your hand placement, your foot placement, your head placement, you can emphasize different areas of your chest, okay? But today, I'm just talking about doing a real traditional standard push-up And I want you to avoid some of these mistakes because it's all about getting the most out of the time and effort that you're putting in. So you don't want to, spend 20 minutes doing push-ups and only get the positive effect of saying doing 10 minutes of push-ups because you're just doing them wrong. So number one, full range of motion. And one of the things that can hurt that full range of motion is actually your hip placement. All right, the second mistake that I want you guys to think about, and that's your hand placement. So the first one was, how do your hips or your butt, are they sagging, or are they way up in the air? You want to be nice and straight. Second one is hand placement. So if your hands are too far out in front of you, okay, doing a push-up, really becomes awkward and tough. You take a lot of your weight off your chest and you put it on your shoulders, okay? And of course, that's not the goal. We're trying to build a big chest with push-ups, all right? So if my hands are too far forward, I'm not gonna be able to do nearly as many push-ups as if my hands are basically directly under my shoulders, okay? So hand placement, too far forward. The other thing is, and I've had, and this is a way to do push-ups, but it's a way to change the emphasis of where you're putting the stress on your chest. So you can have your hands too close, okay? You won't be able to do as many because I'm taking some of the stress off my chest, putting it on my triceps. Or if my hands are too wide, out wider than my shoulders, I won't get as much out of the push-up because once again, I'm not in an optimum position, okay? So those hands need to be in the right location in 2 dimensions. So we got forward and rearward, that's 1 dimension, and out and in is the 2nd dimension. So basically, a good way to do this is to lay flat, bring your hands back until your elbows are pointing about at a 45-degree angle behind you relative to your torso. Then just bring your hands straight up like this and then push up. So my hands are basically right under my shoulders right now. I go down, straight back up. You have a lot more leverage, and when you put your hands in the right location also, it'll take some of the stress off your shoulder joints. All right, so that's another thing, guys. When you're young, nobody's really worried about their shoulders, right? We didn't have that problem, all right? But as we get older, almost all of us are gonna have some kind of aches or pains going on our shoulders, and I'm just trying to help you avoid some of those shoulder problems. All right, so the last mistake I want you guys to focus on and avoid is the orientation of your hands. So mistake number 2 was placement of your hands. Too far forward, too far back, out, too far in. Now we have to worry about the orientation, which way our fingers are pointing. So guys, you got everything figured out as far as where their hands need to be. Then you have your dog, all right, that walks by, and he's just bored with the whole video because he doesn't do push-ups, but he likes to be here for moral support. All right, so this is a big mistake, guys. If your hands or your fingers are pointing in just a little bit, all right, when you do your push-up, your butt might be in the correct place, you might be nice and straight, all right, you might have full range of motion, but look at my elbows. My elbows are really flaring out. So when your hands are pointing inward, it forces your elbows to flare out. You don't want that, all right? Once again, that can cause some impingement in your shoulders, all right? I like to have my fingers pointing just pretty much straight forward. And when your hands are straight forward, look what happens to my elbows when I go down. See how they're pointing backwards? My elbows, relative to my torso, are at about a 45-degree angle, okay? And then guys, everybody's different, okay? You got different body types, you got different injury problems, and this is, I guess, tip number 4 that will help correct the 3 mistakes, and that is you need to experiment for your particular body type and all the injuries, all right, that you've brought along over the decades with you. So you need to find out the position, all right, where push-ups feel the easiest, all right, you can do the most with a full range of motion, and at the same time, not have a lot of pain in your elbows or shoulders. So that's gonna be slightly different for everybody, okay? But those 3 mistakes I talked about, those are gonna apply basically to all guys, all right? But there's just slight variations, okay, with your hand placement in and out, forwards and back, and this, you know, elbows out versus elbows in. I think, guys, experiment. Just do 1 or 2 push-ups, all right? You're not gonna like that. You move your hands so that your fingers are facing forward. It's gonna bring your elbows back closer to your lats. And I promise, guys, it's gonna feel a lot better in your shoulders. It's not gonna hurt so much, and you're gonna feel stronger. That's because you've put mechanically, from a physics standpoint, yourself in a position to get the most strength, push-up ability out of your body type, all right? And that's what it's all about, because it's reps. We gotta do reps and reps and reps, and then rest, and then do another set. So you gotta find the technique that works best for you. But if you avoid those 3 mistakes that we just talked about, I promise the number of push-ups you're gonna be able to do is really gonna go up without bugging your shoulders. All right, guys, everybody wants a nice big chest, but if you're working out at home and you don't have a lot of equipment, man, you really have a limited number of options. And without a doubt, the push-up is the best all-around exercise you can do for building chest if you don't have thousands of dollars of equipment or a gym membership. And of course, if you're doing them wrong, you got all kinds of problems that can, you know, flare up. Your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists. And if you're doing them wrong, you won't get as much benefit out of each individual push-up. And of course, that's what we're really shooting for, all right? So if you're putting in a lot of effort and you're getting tired and out of breath, you want to get the maximum benefit from all that effort, right? Why only get 50% when you could be getting 100%? So avoid those 3 mistakes, and I promise your push-up ability will actually skyrocket, especially if you always stick with it and never give up on yourself.